All right, and it says they're warming up for 2 games, and then they will start.
And Vipjon rejects the call again. Way to go, Vipjon! We're trying to get another co-caster up on because Verlin is having a little bit of difficulty with her throat. But it looks like our co-caster does not know how to answer a Skype call, and he keeps on rejecting. So
I've been on plenty of Skype calls with him. He knows how to answer. I'm going to close this one so that we can restart it. Is that okay?
Okay. Yep. So it worked for me, not for Vipjon again.
Okay. The call failure always happens. Oh, he's not online. Oh.
Way to go.
Okay. Well, when he gets back on. This is warm-up match number 2. Life has won the first warm-up match. I believe they are both sub 30. Is that correct?
I have no idea.
Hello?
Hello. Okay, I will.
Hey, you're actually here. You know how to answer calls. Nice work.
My Skype is broken.
Your Skype is broken? That's your excuse? My Skype is broken?
Yeah.
Okay, so once Vipjon is able to get into the room, I will mute my mic. This is their first game in their set of 15, first to 15.
Alright, for those of you just tuning in, this is the Tetris Tournament Online II, hosted by Hard Drop, sponsored by Tetris Company, LLC, Blue Planet Software, and Tetris Online. This is actually this is a round 3 match, right? This is a round 3 match for week number 3 between Paul676 and Life. Life is actually ZeroT on the Hard Drop community. I'm not quite sure, was that a match? Someone is asking.
Yes.
That wins the first match 1-0.
They actually restarted the room so that they could keep score.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't know how they did that, but beautiful.
Both of them just left and rejoined.
Oh, okay.
Alright, once again, we have game number 2 between Paul and Life. Looks like Life went for the T-spin double opener while Paul is just going to downstack through everything. Going to take advantage of the garbage that he receives and send it right back to Life. Life looks like he's going to stack up for a Tetris right there. Looks like he misdropped that TPO. Choking on the chips that he just ate. Oh, jeez. Life going to stack up for a Tetris. What was that?
Life does, in fact, misdrop quite a bit. Notoriously.
Once again, misdropping that orange piece, and is going to slow him down significantly as he has to stack right on top of that, while Paul is going to try to down stack and expose that nice solid garbage. Looks like he's going to set up for the T-spin double right there and send some lines right over to Life. Meanwhile, I'm hearing some noise in the background. Sounds like some random music. Maybe you have a phone call. I'm not quite sure. Paul actually stacking over his garbage hole, but it looks like he will be able to clean that down pretty quickly using that Tetris to block all of that garbage, and that might have actually... Again, my streaming software is frozen, but it looks like it's back to normal now. Life gonna downstack through there and try to stack off for some more Tetrises and get some more APM out onto Paul, but Paul is gonna block all that garbage with that Tetris. Now gonna try to downstack through all the Swiss cheese garbage that he received from Life's small downstacking combos. Life once again gonna try to stack up, and I believe looks like he's just gonna try to downstack as much as possible, trying to get down through that Swiss cheese garbage. Gonna take advantage of that garbage and get set up for a nice T-spin double right there. While Paul, not quite sure what he intended to do with that red piece right there, but seems like it was a misdrop, and it is gonna slow him down a little bit right there. Looks like he's gonna set up for that T-spin double. My streaming software once again is going to lag for a little bit once again. Looks like we're back to normal. Life making a misdrop once again. Life making a lot of misdrops right there and during crucial times actually, as it is going to slow him down when he really needs to send that damage output to Paul. Life getting pushed towards the top of his matrix, so Paul is going to set up for the T-spin double. One last spike to Life, and Paul picks up the victory in game number 2. Paul coming out victorious, 69 line sent versus Life's 95 in 1 minute and 50 seconds, and Paul gets the knockout and enforces his lead 2 victories to 0.
Life actually won both of the warm-up matches, so Paul winning the 2 first matches. This is why Larry said that this was going to be the best match to watch this week.
All right, Life gonna go for some nice T-spin double and chaining that into a T-spin triple opener, while Paul just looks like he's just gonna set up for some Tetrises. Paul actually receiving a huge and nice solid line of garbage right there, while Life, it looks like he was gonna try to downstack through all of that received garbage, but unfortunately for him, misdropping that eyepiece, and that is a crucial misdrop because not only does he not have, or does he have to fix that misdrop, but he no longer has that eyepiece to send that garbage right back to Paul. Now, once again, misdropping that T-piece, I'm not quite sure what is going on with Life, as he looks like he's misdropping like once every 8 or 10 pieces, and Paul takes advantage of that misdrop, sending one last spike over to Life. Paul picking up the victory, 23 lines set to 21 in 34 seconds and getting a knockout.
Score is 3-0. Paul.
All right, we have game number, you said 3-0, right?
Yes, 3-0, Paul.
Game number 4. Looks like Life is going to go for some more T-spin double and chaining that into a T-spin triple openers right there. It looks like it was successful last time, getting some extremely lucky garbage right there, actually able to take advantage of the garbage and set up for the T-spin double while Paul is frozen. There we go. He's back to normal now. He's going to try to downstack through there with that Tetris and send that garbage right back to Life. Life really needs that eyepiece. He does get that eyepiece, but unfortunately he's blocking his garbage hole, and that is not something that he wants to do when he's so dangerously close to the top of his matrix. Paul going to try to take advantage of that and send that spike, but Life actually able to hang in there for a little bit longer. And while Paul now tries to expose that nice solid garbage once again, but Life once again does have that eyepiece that is able to downstack through that and stay alive. But Paul once again out of nowhere sending a spike and knocking out Life right there, sending 42 lines in 44 seconds, Life with 36, and Paul enforcing his lead 4 victories to 0. And it looks like Vipchun, one of our one of our co-casters, who is actually being quite silent for some reason, has finally joined the room.
I found it.
Yeah, I like your tone of voice. I found it. All right, so we do have Vipchun. We have Vipchun here for co-commentary, for some expert analysis on what the competitors are doing. Meanwhile, it looks like Life was going to go for a 4-wide combo. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't 100% watching that too closely, but looks like he's going to chain that into a T-spin double while Paul is towards the top of his matrix. He does get that eyepiece, so and does send the Tetris over to Life, but Life is blocking his garbage hole, but he is still in relatively safe position and probably not going to cause that big of a problem. He's once again going to downstack through that. Looks like he's set up for the T-spin single right there while Paul is literally at the bottom of his matrix. You're going to set up for that T-spin double right there, what it seems, or he's going to go for the 2-wide combo. No, he's just going to take that T-spin double right away and going to stack off for some more APM builds. Meanwhile, Life making a misdrop once again with that red piece, and it is going to slow him down significantly. Not quite sure what to do with that second red piece, and is going to make him pause and think for a little while. Meanwhile, Paul looks like he's going to set up for that T-spin double and going to chain that into a nice 2-wide combo, actually stacking up really high, so this could result in a lot of damage done to Life's field, but Life actually able to downstack through and combo off his own, and going to set up for that T-spin double and possibly going to chain that into a 2-wide combo once again of his own. Possibly missing a T-spin double opportunity right there, but instead going to go for the safer route, try to downstack through that, as Paul is downstacking on his side, and he is sending a lot of Swiss cheese garbage over to Life. But Life once again going to go for that T-spin double opener, or not open. What am I talking about? That's not an opener. We're a minute and a half into the game. A T-spin double setup, and going to go for some more APM builds. Once again, a T-spin double, while Paul is able to downstack through all of that garbage, and not only block all of that garbage, but get down to the bottom of his field with that garbage and those Tetrises. Looks like he's going to go for another Tetris, chain that into a T-spin double, and 2 pieces later, once again another T-spin double. Looks like he is blocking his garbage hole, but looks like he will be able to recover out of this, as Life does not have any high APM builds right now set up. Looks like he might have been able to go for the T-spin double right there, but he instead needs to get out of this top situation as quick as possible. He's getting pushed to the top. Paul does have that garbage hole that he's able to send the Tetris to right there to knock out Life. Paul picks up the victory, 2 minutes and 1 second. We were actually just getting to the hurry up garbage with 110 lines sent, while Life gets second with 93, and Paul actually enforces his lead 5-0.
Paul with some pretty strong play there. Life, ZeroT known for that really big DT cannon type opening, and I'm guessing that Paul has played him quite a amount of times before, so he's going to be ready for these DT cannon openings that Life is doing.
All right, looks like Life was going to go for some back-to-back T-spin double openers, but he's actually getting pushed to the top of his matrix at a very fast pace, and he really needs to downstack through that as quickly as possible. And Paul actually able to take advantage of the Life's poor positioning at the top of his matrix, and he's able to knock him out right there. 20 seconds, 19 lines sent, almost with an APM of 1 per second, while Life is only able to manage to send 4 lines that game, and Paul picks up the victory, 6 total wins to 0. No expert analysis from VipGen that game.
Too fast.
Too fast.
He
All right. Looks like Paul is going to go for some basic Tetris openers right there, misdropping that blue piece, so unfortunately not able to get the back-to-back Tetris, but looks like Life also made a misdrop of his own, because it seems like he wasn't able to successfully pull off that T-spin double. But looks like both players are in relatively safe positions towards the bottom of their matrices. Paul actually getting pretty fortunate with that garbage, either fortunate or if he was actually able to downstack through and expose that garbage hole, but it looks like he's able to downstack through that. Once again, making sure not to block his garbage hole, and possibly going to go for some back-to-back Tetrises right there. He really needs those pieces as quickly as possible. He's actually going to wait and time his line breaks to make sure that he blocks some of that Swiss cheese garbage that Life was sending in for him. Once again, setting up for that Tetris right there, and he's going to downstack through that, while Paul once again is in a relatively good position towards the bottom of his matrix, but he does not have any high APM builds set up, and he did block his garbage hole. So this is the best time for Life to take advantage of this. He actually makes a misdrop with that blue piece, but does 2 consecutive nice spins with those T pieces and the green piece, I believe. But unfortunately for Life, he still needs to get out of this bad position that he's in right now. Once again, a nice spin with that blue piece, while Paul is getting pushed towards the top of his matrix from Life's downstacking. Life's excellent downstacking, and Paul is getting pushed towards the top of his matrix. Life manages to get down through everything and sends a knockout blow to Paul. Life picks up the victory, 63 lines sent to Paul's 48, and Life picks up his first victory in the set, and now shortens Paul's lead 6-1.
So I've got some confirmation that Paul indeed has been practicing against DT cannon type setups. So I want to see I'm wondering what his best strategy is going to be. So it seems like what Paul's going to be doing is just a basic Tetris opener. And, some people might argue, hey, maybe you can do T-spins instead. But I think what Paul's intention was, he wants to get a clean field so that when Life sends his the large straight garbage that goes into Paul's field, Paul will be easily be able to downstack through that.
All right, we are half a minute into this next game. I believe the score was 6-1, so Paul is starting to get, the Life is starting to get himself on the board. But unfortunately for Life, just as I say this, he gets pushed right to the top of his matrix. Looks like he did not have that eyepiece on hold, and once again does not have that eyepiece. Trying to stall as much as possible, but unfortunately he did not have the consecutive combo downstacking setup that he wanted to stay alive. And Paul does manage to pick up the victory again right there. 48 lines sent to 43, and Paul enforces his lead 7-1. Blink comes into the room. Is it a close match? And he goes, oh, dang, it's not.
So if I was Life right now, I think I might need to mix it up for a bit, because Paul is just consistent, and he did. So he's starting with a regular T-spin opener.
Looks like Paul setting up for a T-spin triple right there, and actually getting extremely lucky with that garbage, as he's able to immediately chain that into a T-spin double right there, taking advantage of the garbage that he received. Paul being frozen on my screen for a little bit, but it looks like he was able to stay alive right there, while Life is going to stack up for what appears to be some T-spin double and Tetris hybrid building. Unfortunately, misdropping that green piece, and that is going to force him to soft drop all of those pieces. That is going to slow him down significantly right there. I'm spitting all over my microphone. Oh, geez. If you were my microphone, you would not be happy right now. And meanwhile, as I was covering my microphone with spit, Paul comes out victorious in that game as well. Life actually sending more lines that game, 37-33 in 35 seconds, but Paul still getting the victory right there. So Paul once again enforcing his lead, 8 victories to 1.
So if I was Life, I think I might want to throw in some 4-wide openers. If Paul is starting with a Tetris opener, which takes a while to send garbage, I might want to do some 4-wide just to force him to do something differently.
Looks like Life once again going to go for some T-spin double and T-spin triple openers right there, sending a nice spike, initial spike to Paul, as Paul is now pushed towards the top of his matrix. But it looks like, oh, Paul actually misdrops that green piece, and that is going to be a difficult one to fix, as he has to stack that high. So it did slow him down, and it prevented him from downstacking through that garbage that he received, giving Life an opportunity. But of course, Life with that opportunity is just going to take that a misdrop, and it looks like he is going to downstack and manage to fix that up. But once again, misdropping, Life making a ton of crucial misdrops, and that is costing him games over and over, and Paul once again taking advantage of Life's misdrops when he was at the top of his matrix. Paul picking up the victory, 35 line sent to Life's 27. Okay, I'm going to put my Skype on Do Not Disturb because this sound is probably trolling everyone who's watching the stream, so I don't get the sound of little notifications. There we go. So you guys will... meanwhile, my stream software is broken. There we go. Now we're back to normal. Life once again going to go for the T-spin double, chain that immediately into a T-spin triple, and going to chain that into a red piece spin, I believe. He did it so fast I wasn't even able to catch up, and it was so fast that he was actually able to knock out Paul within the first 16 seconds. Life sending 1 line per second, 16 lines sent in 16 seconds. Paul getting 9, and Life getting a second victory of the set. So now he shortens Paul's lead, 9 victories to 2.
Yeah, I think he only came out with the win on that game because Paul misdropped in the beginning and couldn't downstack through. So I guess DT Cannon, if it was to work for him right away, he would need Paul to misdrop significantly.
All right, we once again have Paul versus Life. Looks like Paul went for some basic Tetris openers right there, while Life didn't quite catch what his opener was, but looks like Paul is going to set up for that T-spin double and chain that immediately into a Tetris, or I believe that was the other way around, and pushing the Life dangerously close to the top of his matrix. Life trying to unstack as quickly as possible, making sure to micro his pieces well right there, but unfortunately following that up with a misdrop. It looks like Paul once again is going to take advantage of this, easily able to, he actually could have exposed that garbage hole to take advantage of that garbage, but either way, it looks like Life committed a self-kill right there, as he did misdrop once more at the top of his matrix and did not have enough pieces to stall right there. Paul getting first place with 27 lines sent versus Life's 24. All right, this is game number 13 of the set. This is the first 2 15 victories win by 2. Paul once again going to start up for some basic Tetris openers, while Life actually, I believe, that T-piece looked like a misdrop on my side, but looks like it actually followed through, so it might have been just a little glitch in the spectator view. But it looks like Paul is going to block a lot of that garbage, but receiving once again a ton of garbage. He actually could have stalled his death right there by laying that I-piece flat and following it up with that red piece down. But unfortunately, he just threw his I-piece in the middle of nowhere. It looks like that is going to cost him the match right there. So Life getting himself back on the board once again, shortening Paul's lead once again, 10 games to 3.
Yeah, that was a good game by Life, and he didn't misdrop this time. So I guess one of his pains when he's setting up these really fast, big setups is that once he misdrops one piece, he's in a lot of trouble.
All right, looks like Paul could have gone for a nice spin right there, but instead just choosing to downstack as quickly as possible and just making sure not to waste any time with that soft drop, while Paul setting up for the T-spin double. Life doing the exact same thing and sending some lines right back to Paul. Looks like Life is going to stack over his garbage hole right there, possibly going to set up for the T-spin single right there, sending a little bit of garbage, 1 line, 2 lines of garbage to Paul, but it looks like Paul is going to be easily able to counter that. Life actually blocking a lot of that garbage with that T-spin double, and that is going to save his life right there, as that might have been enough for that knockout, but Paul is going to downstack through the bottom of his matrix, I believe misdropping either that or mistaking that red piece for a green piece and making another misdrop right there. Meanwhile, Life is at the bottom of his matrix. Looks like he might be just microing his pieces to make sure that he actually did use that to take advantage of that and set up for the T-spin double right there, while Paul doing the same thing. Life dangerously close to the top of his matrix, but actually able to use that Tetris to block that garbage and make sure that he stays alive from Paul's damage output. Paul once again down stacking through and trying to set up, it looks like he's going to set up for some hybrid T-spin double and triple builds right there. Yes, he does go for the T-spin double and the T-spin triple, but Life actually able to block, I believe, all of that garbage with that excellent down stacking. Going to set up for the T-spin double, taking advantage of that zigzag pattern in his field, and to set up for the Tetris and then the T-spin single, sending a lot of lines to Paul. So now Paul is the one who needs to really down stack as quickly as possible. Going to try to down stack and expose that nice solid garbage, and he does manage to get that. Instead of going for the Tetris, he actually goes for the T-spin double and then a triple, while meanwhile Life is getting pushed towards the top of his matrix. He does have that eyepiece, but he needs to use it to prevent himself from blocking his garbage hole, and he does manage to stay alive for a little bit longer, but he really needs the eyepiece. He does get that eyepiece, and once again is able to stay alive for a little bit longer, but he's still in the struggle to get down, as Paul is now setting up for another T-spin double. It looks like this spike might be the last one if he doesn't have the eyepiece, but he does have that eyepiece on hold, and he's able to stay alive for a little bit longer. And once again, Life really needs those eyepieces, and it looks like Paul is able to catch up right there, and Paul does pick up the victory. 2 minutes and 1 second game, 109 lines sent to Life's 99. It looks like Paul is now once again going to reinforce his lead, 11 victories to 3.
Yeah, I think both players are pretty equal in speed, but the difference that I'm seeing in the mid game is that Paul's downstack goes down quicker, meaning that, when Paul wants to downstack, he can usually get down really quick without much upstack. Life, on the other hand, I see him upstack a little more as he's downstacking. Maybe he wants to do some more T-spins or whatnot, but that seems to be what comes out to be the decider of the games, is that Paul gets to come down much lower.
All right, Life actually already at the top of his main. Oh, I think the game's over already. There we go. Life actually misdropping that red piece, possibly mistaking it for a green one, and blocking his garbage hole, and it actually got pushed towards over his entry positioning. So it looks like Life, even if he might have hanged in there for a little bit longer, he wouldn't have been able to stay alive. And Paul picking up the victory, once again reinforcing his lead by a little bit more, 12-3. And if you're just tuning in, this is the Tetris Tournament Online II. This is a round 3 match, I believe, week number 3. This is for the World Championship Tetris, competitive Tetris. This is the second one. We had the Tetris Tournament Online 1 a little bit over a year ago, and this is being sponsored by Tetris Company Online. Tetris Company LLC, Blue Planet Software, and Tetris Online. There we go. We have, once again, a match, Paul versus Life. It looks like Paul setting up for looks like just basic downstacking, while Life actually choosing to not take that T-spin double opportunity and try to just get down to the bottom of his matrix and stack up for some Tetris right there. He goes for the Tetris, chain that into a T-spin double. Paul's screen is frozen on my side. Looks like he is back now. Something happened. He downstacked, I believe. I was coughing and I looked away for a little bit as I wouldn't cough in my microphone. Life now is taking advantage of that garbage, stacking up for some back-to-back Tetris. It looks like he got a Tetris and a triple off of that, while Paul is going to stack up and try to downstack, it looks like, and try to get in a safer position. Meanwhile, Life is going to take advantage of Paul's less APM style builds on his side and going to stack up for some Tetrises right there, sending a decent amount of garbage output to Paul, but Paul is now going to stack up for the T-spin doubles, or a T-spin double, going to chain that into a nice combo, sending some nice Swiss cheese garbage to Life, and it is going to take him a while as he's blocking his garbage hole right there, and he needs to expose that nice solid garbage as quickly as possible before Paul can take advantage of this. And he unfortunately does not have that eyepiece handy, so he is not able to send the Tetris to Paul, but looks like Paul not in great shape on his side either, as he was getting pushed towards the top of his matrix, but it looks like he will be able to downstack through all of that garbage, and he is able to send a lot of Swiss cheese garbage right back to Life, but Life trying to take advantage of that garbage just in time, pulling off that Tetris to prevent himself from dying right there. But it looks like, oh, he misdrops that orange piece, lays it flat instead of sticking it in, and that will cost him the match right there. Paul picking up the victory. Only 66 lines sent compared to Life's 98 in a minute and 44 seconds, but Paul does pick up the knockout.
Yeah, Life definitely should have started downstacking much earlier there. He had some really dirty garbage under him, and he was still trying to attack or do whatever he was doing and upstacking. That was the key. He was still in the middle of upstacking and didn't get down.
All right, once again, Paul, a match between Paul and Life. Looks like Paul having a little bit of difficulty with his opener right there, but looks like he will be able to turn that into a T-spin double and chain that into a nice spin to clean up that misdrop, while Life also doing the same thing. It looks like he might have attempted to go for a T-spin triple right there, but it looks like he was not able to find a piece to get that overhang, and you do need that overhang for that T-spin triple, so it looks like he just downstacked right through it, which is probably the best choice, as he is receiving a ton of garbage right now, needs to get down through it as quickly as possible. Looks like Paul went for a T-spin single, I believe. I'm not quite sure what that was, but he is able to downstack through that and get towards the bottom of his matrix, trying to get down through that Swiss cheese garbage and send Life some Swiss cheese garbage of his own, but Life actually setting up for the T-spin double, but did not have that T-piece handy to just get down through that as quickly as possible with that triple. Oh, and Life, once again, another crucial misdropping that eyepiece, and it is going to slow him down significantly and prevent him from doing that Tetris, but he does actually manage to micro himself out of that. Now Paul having some terrible garbage on his side, literally zigzag back to back, and that is not really what you want when you're trying to downstack, as it is going to take a while to get through all of that. And meanwhile, Life is going to take advantage of this, going for that air T-spin double and going to downstack through that and try to get down to that solid garbage. Meanwhile, Paul is working through that garbage, taking advantage of the zigzag pattern and actually setting up for some nice T-spin doubles right there, and is still sending some nice APM over to Life. Life now trying to downstack through that, expose that nice solid clean garbage. Looks like he's going to set up for the T-spin double right there and then possibly stack up some more for a Tetris. No, he's just going to combo that down with a short stack combo, and now Paul trying to stack up on his own. Looks like he did block his garbage hole right there, but looks like he will be able to get down through that relatively quickly. Meanwhile, Life stacking up for some Tetrises of his own. This is basically a back-to-back action, and Life really needs to prevent himself from misdropping right here, as it's a lot of the previous matches have been going on like this, but Life would misdrop and end this back-to-back action, so Life really needs to stay focused and not misdrop. Looks like he is doing a relatively good job in sending actually some nice lines to Paul. We are 2 minutes and 8 seconds into the match, and the hurry-up garbage has come out. Paul really needs that eyepiece, and he does get that eyepiece just in time to stay alive, but Life also needs that eyepiece as well. He does get that T-spin double, sending a nice spike to Paul. Looks like Paul actually forgot to rotate that red piece, and that is going to misdrop. That misdrop is going to cost him the game right there, and he also follows it up with 2 additional misdrops after that. Almost a 2.5 minute game right there. Life coming out victorious. 103 lines sent to Paul's 115, but Life does get the knockout, and Paul now Life shortens Paul's lead by a little bit, 13 games to 4.
Yeah, I think that was the first game that Life has won that, you know, took more than 20 seconds. So yeah, hopefully he's getting back into the match.
All right, Life once again gonna looks like he was actually could have gone for the T-spin triple and chain that into a nice 3-wide combo, but for whatever reason he chose not to follow through with that combo. Not quite sure why, but it looks like Paul is gonna stack up and expose that nice solid garbage to send it right back to Life. Looks like Life gonna stack up for the T-spin single right there and chain that immediately into a T-spin double, sending some nice line output to Paul. Looks like Paul is going to downstack through that once again, take advantage of the garbage that he received, set up for the T-spin double, chain that immediately into a Tetris, and once again another short stack combo right there, but Life easily able to counter that with a T-spin double of his own and going to downstack through his garbage as well. Looks like he's going to make sure not to block his garbage hole, using 2 eyepieces to send a Tetris right over to Paul, but Paul doing the same thing, trying to avoid blocking his garbage hole as much as possible. He does get a nice small spike from Life, and he actually blocks his garbage hole with the red piece and the blue piece, but it looks like he is able to get out of that relatively quickly to make sure that he does not get topped out right there. Meanwhile, Life once again making those nice, of course not, I meant to say crucial, not nice misdrops. Nice for Paul, I guess, but he makes those very important misdrops, and that is going to slow him down significantly. But meanwhile, it looks like Paul has some messy Swiss cheese garbage on his side, so it looks like he might take a while to get some nice output to Life, so Life might be able to take advantage of this. But as Paul was downstacking, he was sending a lot of short combos, and Life also has a ton of Swiss cheese garbage on his side as well. Possibly could have gone for the T-spin double right there, but instead choosing to downstack instead and go for the T-spin double right after that. Not quite sure what he intended to do with that, but it looks like those handful of poor piece placement choices is going to cost him the game, as Paul actually did have a short spike ready to send to him. And Paul picking up the victory there, 84 lines sent and a knockout versus Life's 78. Now Paul is ahead in the set, 14 games to 4.
Yeah, a lot of misdrops by Life in that game.
So again, this is a best of, or not a best, I keep on saying best of, first of 15, so this could be game point. And what were you going to say? Maybe he wasn't going to say anything? Am I imagining things? Okay, I thought Vipchin was in the middle of talking.
Yeah, you were breaking up before.
Oh.
Right when the started.
Okay, I hope I'm fine now. So let's see, it looks like both players just going to basically make stuff up as they go, not going to go for some many basic builds, instead just going to get some T-spin doubles and Tetrises where they can, as they have been for a majority of the match. It looks like Paul making a misdrop with that blue piece, but he's still in relatively safe position at the bottom of his matrix. Paul freezing up on my screen for a little bit, but looks like Life actually able to take advantage of that and downstack through all of that garbage. Really needs to send a huge spike to Paul right now to get that knockout, but looks like Paul is able to recover from that and downstack through that on his own as well and get expose that nice solid garbage. Doesn't have that eyepiece handy to send the Tetris to Life, but he's able to set that up for with a T-spin double. Meanwhile, Life stacking up for some Tetrises of his own. Looks like Paul actually doing some nice back-to-back T-spin builds right there and sending actually not very much garbage to Life, as Life actually was able to, it appears like, block a lot of that garbage. Life going for that T-spin double while Paul doing the same thing on his side, doing a nice twist with that red piece to make sure that he downstacks as efficiently as possible. Looks like Life once again going to stack up and try to downstack through to expose that nice solid garbage, making sure not to block this garbage hole. And for streaming software once again freezing up for a little bit, but looks like we are back in action. Life getting that Tetris off and sending some lines right back to Paul. Paul now starting to get a little bit of Swiss cheese garbage on his side, but looks like it won't be that bad of a deal for Paul, as he is able to downstack through that and send some Swiss cheese garbage over to Life of his own, as he is able to utilize the combo mechanism to get down through that downstacking. Looks like Paul receiving another small spike from Life, and Life once again setting up for that T-spin double. But Paul stacking up what appears like some back-to-back Tetris. Nope, he actually that was some really not very desirable micro with that eyepiece right there, as did prevent him from getting that T-spin double and chaining that immediately into a Tetris, but it looks like he is still able to hang in there for a little bit longer. We are 2 minutes, 8 seconds into the match. Hurry up, Garbage still coming up. Life really needs to get that eyepiece on the other side, and he does get that, but unfortunately, he gets a huge spike. He really needs to stall and try to micro as much as possible, but Life does get knocked out right there. Paul picks up the victory right there. 19, or 9, that's not 19, that's 99. 99 line sent to 93, and it looks like Paul is victorious in the set, 15 games to 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, unlucky T sequence for Life. Had to use his piece at the end just to get down instead of down stacking the large solid hole, which kind of caused him to top out. But he did not break out the 4 wide this whole match, so I was wondering, maybe if he decided to do some 4 wides, it might have maybe changed the way the game played out a little bit. But yeah, definitely, as Paul's mentioning in the shout box, that Life was misdropping a lot, and in Tetris Friends, at this elite level that these players are playing, a few misdrops is going to be the decider between who wins the games.
All right, responding to Caffeine in the shout box, the score was 15 victories for Paul to 4 for his competitor.